Hey everybody, today we see what it means for God to have a house. Now when the king was settled in his house and the Lord had given him rest from all his enemies around him, the king said to the prophet Nathan, "See now, I'm living in a house of cedar, but the ark of God stays in a tent." The Lord then says, "Are you the one to build a house for me to live in? I have not lived in a house since the day I brought up the people of Israel from Egypt to this day, but I've been moving about in a tent and in a tabernacle. Wherever I have moved with the people of Israel, did I ever speak a word to any of the tribal leaders of Israel, whom I commanded to shepherd my people, saying, 'Why have you not built me a house of cedar?' Moreover, the Lord declares to you that the Lord will make you a house. When your days are fulfilled and you lie down with your ancestors, I will raise up your offspring after you, who shall come forth from your body, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be a father to him, and he will be a son to me." So there's a lot of wordplay here on the idea of house, right? It can mean like a palace where David now lives. It can mean a temple, which is what he wants to build for God. And it can also be the idea of a dynasty, which is what God offers in return. And God is kind of correcting David a little bit here with this idea. It came from a good place, right? Well, look where I'm living and look where God is at. But God is saying, did I ask for this? Right? What we think God wants or what God needs may not actually be what God wants. Maybe God's not as impressed by the structures that we can build. And so God is saying, no, I don't need you to do this for me. If I wanted it, I would ask for it. And yet, it is eventually something that happens. David's son, Solomon, is the one who does end up building a temple, even though at that point it's also made very clear this building can't contain God. And so instead, as we don't think in this mindset of temples, but we do also still think about, well, where do we find God? And so that gets to this, deeper way that this direction the passage is pointing towards the Messiah. Right, he says, I'm going to give you a house, there's dynasty. There's going to be one after you, a descendant of yours who's going to reign forever. And there's a simple sense in which he was just talking about Solomon, right? That's his literal son who does literally build a house. And yet, even in Solomon's day, soon after that, people read this as more going on. It's a prediction of the Messiah, the one who would restore everything and make everything right. And so we look at that as Jesus, the one who does build a house for God, but it's not a place at all. It's us. We are the temple of God. God's Spirit lives in us. That's the fullest expression of what God is doing here. That's the Son that God is really predicting, and that's the Son who is really with us each and every day.